got all your crap sitting over there. Yeah, I know. Yeah, half-eaten burritos. They'll be here for a week. Anyways, hey, Danny, welcome, man. Thank you for joining us. For people that don't know, Danny has been a top-level amateur cyclist for how long, man?
Over 30 years, 35 years.
35 years. Yeah. So this is a question I'm sure that you know what got you started. What was your first feel of road biking?
When I first started, I was a weightlifter, and to get the cardio end of it, I started riding a bike, and I met these guys. They were called the Scottish guys, and they had a ride that went out to Knollwood off Imperial Highway and back, and a friend of mine hooked me up with them, and they taught me pretty much how to ride a bike. I was all muscular, weighing 200 pounds, and thought I was all it, but I couldn't ride a bike for shit. So that's an interesting place to jump off on, because you said you learned how to ride a bike, and talk about that, because I know the little amount of riding that I have done, that riding in a pack, or there's all kinds of etiquette that's got to be followed. There's safety stuff. I mean, you talk about it, man. Tell us about what it's like in a group. They taught me etiquette. They taught me which way to pull off. It was old school. They weren't very nice. They would smack you or let you know that you did something wrong. They were great guys, and some of them still ride today, in their late 80s, and they ride down to McDonald's and have coffee. So a lot of them have passed. They were great guys, and etiquette's a big thing in cycling, and a lot of the younger people don't get it. A lot of people that go out and ride, they're really strong, but they don't get the etiquette, and it's just manners, of cycling, which way to pull off, which way to stay to the right if you're going slower, and it's just good etiquette, and it's actually common sense. If you think about it, you think about others while you're riding, you're not just thinking about yourself while you're riding, especially in a pack.
Yeah. So when you're riding and you're in a pack, and you're let's just say that there's 30 guys, which would be a small pack, but you're in the middle of all of that. You're not in the front, you're not in the back, you're not side to side. What are your focus? What are you thinking? I mean, you guys get going pretty quick.
Right.
What would be average speed, first of all, that give everybody an idea?
Average speed of a fast pace line is usually about 23 miles an hour, and that's just an average speed. With a tailwind, you could be going 28 to 30. With a headwind, you could be going 21 with a big pack, and you're trading pulls, and you echelon. The front guy always rides in the wind, and they echelon to the side of him behind his wheel, and you pull off into the wind. Some people don't get that, So and there's only so much room between the bike lane and the dirt or the curb or whatever it is. So then another echelon starts if there's a big group.
Yeah. So you say you're in a big group. You guys are taking turns up in the front, pulling. What's the how long are you pulling? How long are you out front? Does it determine on a person's strength? You just get up, because I think that would be a little bit of etiquette too. You don't want to just get up there, take your turn on the pole, and and blow out the back.
Typically, if you're with friends, you don't want to blow your friend off the back, so you don't want to ride over his head, and you pull about what he can handle for the length of the ride. That would be good etiquette. Crappy etiquette would screw your friend and ride as hard as you can and try and drop him off the back. But if you want in a group and you want to make it last and you want everyone to do their work, if you're stronger than them, you pull a little longer. If he's a little bit weaker and he still wants to work, then he just maybe takes a couple pedal strokes and pulls off.
It's all depends on your fitness. There's a fine line there. And then, if you want to screw your buddy, then you ride them into the dirt and you don't leave them. It's all kinds of
little nasty tricks.
But if you're typically in a group and it's a group ride, you do your share of work at the front. If you're a little stronger, you stay up there as long as you can without blowing yourself off the back and getting gapped out. You don't want to do that, because then you screw up the whole line.
Right.
The whole purpose of it.
See, that makes a lot of sense to me now. Here, I thought that I was a lot fitter, I guess, than I was, and you guys were just being nice not to drop me. When somebody gets off the back and develops a gap, it's bad enough when it's him that develops the gap, but when you develop a gap in the middle of the pack, now you're affecting a lot of other people too. So, is what happens then? Because now you're splitting up the group.
Well, if you're all friends, if it's a club, then hopefully they got a spot there they're going to regroup. If you start dropping people and they're in the wind by themselves and they're coming home and you've done 80 miles, it's not fun being by yourself, So, I mean, typically, if I'm really fit, I'll go back and get someone and pull them back up. But if I'm not fit, I'm going to hang on for dear life and try and do whatever I can to hang on to that front group. 30 guys is a lot of people, and I mean, the groups these days are a little bit smaller. I know if it was my ride and it was a team ride or a group ride that I put together, I would make sure no one got dropped.
Right.
Or we would have places where we stop and wait. If someone's really suffering.
Yeah. So what's training like? Well, I guess these days training is really, it's like, what are you training? That's hard.
Well, it's what are you training for right now? Because there's no racing because of COVID. I wish I had the time like I do now to train when I was racing when I was younger. But training for me is great because I'm retired and I got a lot of time. So
how many miles you put in? You were telling me the other day you put in quite a bit.
Riding about 275 miles a week right now.
Yeah.
And climbing about 10,000 feet.
Wow.
Yeah. So
is it hard for you to train without having the goal of racing, or are you just enjoying the process of training?
I'm enjoying it. I love it. I'm not doing a whole bunch of speed work, but I am doing some speed work, but not like I would be if I was racing. The track's not open, and that's where I used to do my speed work. That in El Dorado Park on Tuesday nights. Tuesday night racing was speed work.
Yeah.
Especially riding with the young guys, it's a chore for me to hang with them anymore because they're fast. These young guys are really fast now, a lot faster than they were when I was young.
What do you think causes that? Is it training's just gotten better? Is the equipment gotten better?
Training's gotten better.
Yeah.
Training's gotten better. There's more with the power cranks. And training by power, and these kids have more time maybe than I did. I was working full time, so when I was working full time, I probably rode 125 miles a week to opposed to now.
And that was good, and that was mostly on the weekend that you're getting that 125 in.
And then if I needed more miles, I would do 2 or 3 races on a Sunday, so to get my miles in, and that's all speed work racing. So.
Yeah. Also, too, I can remember back in the day, and so all our listeners know you and I have known each other 30 years.
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty long time, and we rode together on a lot of occasions, and I can remember you inviting me out to some training rides at night in the dark at some of the industrial complexes that are around in Orange County and different places, and riding under the street lights.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there were all kinds of ways of getting your miles in.
Oh, yeah. There's McGaw used to be one of them. I don't even know if that goes on anymore, but Hughes Park, that's still going on.
Is it?
And it's still going on today.
Really?
Yeah. And now I heard the one in Santa Fe Springs is going on again. So they're getting it. I mean, and there's big groups out there. I try and stay away from them.
Yeah.
Right now, last thing I need to do is throw myself on the ground again right now. So
yeah, you've had a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned El Dorado Park, and El Dorado, for those that don't know, is a huge cycling event. And it used to be back in the day when it first started with the Calvet bicycle group, team or club. It was Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
They had double nights, and that's when I started. That's my first intro into racing of any sort, was to get yelled at, like you were saying,
right.
By the old guys. And I mean, they had some, and a number of them that, I haven't heard the names for a while, but I always tell the story about one guy, Phil Granascia, and I don't know if you ever knew Phil, and just an amazing freaking athlete character, because I met him when he was, I think, probably 61 or 62 years old, and he was always in the fast group, and not just hanging on the fast group, but he was hammering it in the sprints.
Yeah.
That was just an amazing sight to watch him.
Right.
It was just incredible. So, and back in the day, I mean, there were some Olympians and different that were, I mean, like Mark Whitehead.
Pete Whitehead started the ride, and those were the Scotsmen that I rode with.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, the park is a staple to racing. It started out as one group, and if you got dropped, you got back in. And then Roger Milliken organized it and made it, 3 groups. And then Marilyn took over, and then of course Chris Lotz, and now Bikeable Communities of Long Beach has taken it over. Al Crawford, and it's the crowds aren't the same like they used to be. I mean, there used to be 45, 50 people
at least
in each group.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember I'd get off work and I'd haul ass over to the park so I can get a number, and Marilyn would say, "Sorry, there's no more." I go, "Oh gosh." So I mean, it took me about a month till I can get off work in time to get a number to be able to race. And that's where I started racing. I started racing the park, and then I got hooked, and from there I just sought out after the best riders and hung out with them, and started riding with them and training with them. And I got a lot of mentors: Mark Hoffenberg, Mitch Myers, Roger Worthington, these guys,
those are some names from the past.
The whole labor team that I rode for, they unbelievable team.
Well, you've actually had an opportunity to be a part of a number of really, really good teams.
Yeah, and the team I'm on now, BBI, BBI SIC, we're a bunch of guys and probably won more races than most of these teams, and we're good friends, and that's where it's stayed, and that's where I'm done right here, and I'm not going anywhere else. I mean, I love these guys, and we have a great time. It's more than just racing; it's a friendship.
Yeah. Well, you've been. I got to say, you're talking about. We were talking about being in the pack, and showing respect, and riding with etiquette. And one thing about you, you've always been well liked by most everybody, and I say that in all honesty. Everybody's always enjoyed being around you, being with you, and what comes from that is because you were trusted in the peloton. You always knew what you were doing. You knew where you were at. You didn't make mistakes, and so I mean that's, I think, one of the reasons why you're also on some really good teams. I mean, you were talented, but also well appreciated and respected. So going back, we talk about the type of racing that you've done, Because I think everybody has the Tour de France mentality of that's the, the type of racing or bicycle racing that people, either that or they're thinking about mountain bikes now. Mountain bikes are so commonplace. But road bike racing, a lot of people don't understand what kind of racing that is.
Well, I mainly did criteriums. I did some road races. And that would be to help out teammates mostly. I didn't think I stood a chance in hell to win a road race. I did win a stage race.
Yeah.
When I was a Cat 3, it was called Another Dam race in Havasu.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was trying to get on Labor Power at the time, and they said you got to be a Cat 2. So I rode solo by myself, and I did the stage race, and it was supposed to be 3 races, and it wound up being 2. It was a road race and a criterium.
Mm-hmm.
So I won the overall. I got second place in the road race, and I think I got like 4th place in the criterium. So I won the overall. I had more points, so I won the whole race. So
as a Cat 3.
As a Cat 3, and without a teammate, without any teammates, I rode as an individual. So that was the only road race I won, or stage race I won. But criteriums mainly. A lot of track racing. Criteriums are made for power guys that can ride off the front, and guys that can sprint.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pack fill, guys that go out there every week and they beat themselves up trying to get in there to be the top 3. There's only 3 places on that podium, and they're just there because they love it, and maybe they might have a chance to win, but maybe they don't put in the time, or they just don't, they don't have it in them to win.
Right.
But and not being a climber at the time because I was so heavy, I would stick to the criteriums to where I had more success, or I could work hard for my teammates as a lead out, or as to chase down other guys.
Well, most people don't have an idea of what a criterium is, what a road race is, and track racing. Track racing they may, but explain criterium.
Criterium's generally around a industrial area, usually a mile or less of a course, and it could be 6-7 turns. It could be 4 corners, and you got set time. You might start at it might be a 45-minute race, and then they'll average the time, and then with 5 laps to go till that 45 minutes is up, you have lap cards, and the first one that crosses the line wins. And so there's all kinds of tactics that go on in between that time. It's kind of like the Tour de France on the last day. But that's more of a circuit race too. So that's a little bit bigger than a criterium course.
But the speeds on a criterium are typicly higher than like a road race where everything so everything is full throttle.
I've been in races where we average 28 miles an hour throughout the 45-50 minutes that we race, and that's pretty fast.
That's way fast. I dare anybody to get on a bike and go out and try to pedal that thing at 28 miles an hour. Solo you're not going to do it. No. Downhill possibly, but solo you're not. That's the advantage of being in a big group.
Right.
So then track racing, tell us about your experience on the track. Track to me was always the most fun. It was something I always enjoyed more than anything else because I was always a big guy. I was always 205, 210. So being on a road bike and doing a road race where you got a lot of climbing, that ain't going to happen.
Right. I started riding the track years ago at the old velodrome, the outdoor velodrome.
Concrete one in Carson.
Yeah. And then when they built the new one, I go, oh my God, it's just beautiful. And Roger Young's done a great job there, and he's a coach there, and he is phenomenal. He's got a good program there in coaching people. And I got in and started doing Madison, and then I do Madison, and I also do team time trials, and then scratch races and Omnium. the team time trial is hard. It's
Mm-hmm.
the hardest you're ever going to ride in such little amount of time in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the guys there are unbelievably strong that are my age, that are winning this. I mean, at 60 plus, they have the world record, the guys from LA here. And they're phenomenal. And I trained with those guys. You know, one
Mm-hmm.
of the guys were hurt, and so I sat in. At the time, you know, I was still working. I couldn't put in the time. They were there 5 days a week at the track, and I wasn't working like that. And I go, holy crap, they're fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Isn't it amazing where it used to be, you know, guys our age would hit our age and it'd be time to hang everything up.
Right.
Now it's guys are kicking it into gear and doing better because training has changed, diet has changed, you know, bikes have changed, everything has changed, and is allowing them to continue on for a pretty long time.
Right. And you'll see the guys that retire early, like
Mm-hmm.
at 55, and all of a sudden they're really riding really good. And you go, wow, where'd that come from? You know, it's like, man, and now I know why.
Time
now
in
I
the
see how
saddle.
they get a little bit more time to train, less stress and working, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So when you're doing a team time trial, you know, on a velodrome, first, you know, let's explain velodrome to everybody. So, you know, it's
Typically a velodrome's 250 meter track. That's our track now. The velodrome down in San Diego is 350 meters. Our old track was 350 meters, which is a big track.
yeah.
So the velodrome in Carson is a wood track indoors, and it's very fast. So it's climate controlled. There it's 74 degrees, I think, and there's no wind in there, so you know you can go pretty fast. The banks are really steep, and it's very intimidating when you stand up in the turns. When you first get there and look down, you go, wow, how does anyone stay on this track, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a blast, and it's super addicting. The speed and the adrenaline you get from it is, you just want to go faster and keep going, you know. It's like mountain bike riding. When you go mountain bike riding, you're out there suffering, you get done, you go, God, I want to go again. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, the single tracks and down. But so on a velodrome, when you are riding, you're saying that the banking looks steep when you're standing looking at it, but when you are on the track, it doesn't seem to be as intimidating because you're not really so much focused on the steepness as you are, you know, the speed.
No, you don't want to focus on the steepness. You just want to ride.
Just,
look forward, you know, and keep your speed up.
Yeah.
You got to ride a certain mile per hour, or you'll slide down it if you're at the top. It's I don't know how to explain it. You know, the G-force in the turns is ridiculously fast. When you're going 40 miles an hour through a turn, it's fast.
Yeah.
And you feel the pressure. You look through the turn, you just go for it, you know.
So on a team time trial, explain that, because what do you have, 4 riders on the track at the same time?
4 riders on the track. You take off from the pursuit line, and it's called a team pursuit. And the first guy takes off, and then everyone follows behind him, and he'll usually pull one lap and then pull off and pull up the track and then come back down on the tail end of the group. And your wheels are about an inch apart, as close as you can get to the guy without rubbing that wheel, to stay in his draft. And it's I forget, I think it's 12 laps that we do. So everybody's pulling 3 laps. 3 laps, yeah. And it's as hard as you can go for that many laps, for 250 meters each pull, you know.
Yeah. And the pull is hard.
The pull's hard.
It's really hard. I mean, you're out there on your own. You're pulling. I mean, you can't slow down because it's all resting on your shoulders at that point in time.
Right.
But that doesn't mean as you pull out and you come up and you come back down that it's an easy ride for
Oh, no.
3 laps. I mean, it is still hard.
No.
Still fast.
And you don't want to get gapped out because then you're working hard to get on. I mean, and you probably won't get on if you get gapped out.
Right.
And you can finish with 3 guys. One guy could drop off. But and then it's the last guy's wheel crossing the finish line that sets the time. So when the first guy comes across through the last turn, he wants to pull up and let the other guy up, and so all of them could come through. So
yeah. So now, okay, so everybody's got a kind of an idea. You're on this velodrome. It's steep banking on the corners. You're millimeters from front wheel to back wheel, and you're going as hard as you can. Explain to everybody what kind of bike you're on.
you're on a fixed gear bike.
Meaning?
And usually, so it has no freewheel. You have to turn the pedals, and you're usually in a pretty big gear doing that. I've been riding a 96 when I've been doing team time trials or team pursuit. And to get that gear going, it takes a little bit, at the start. Once you get turning that gear, it's a little bit easier. But
if you're getting some speed going.
Yeah. And you're going to get speed going. But the first guy's usually in a little bit smaller gear to get it going. And he can usually spin a little bit better.
Yeah.
I've been on pursuit teams where the first guy that leads it off is going to pull 3 laps, and then he's dropping off the race. So the last 3 guys need to finish.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have no time. And that's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're gassed.
You're pretty gassed because he's going as hard as he can,
Yeah. And so another thing that people don't understand, too, on a track bike, where it's a fixed gear, so you don't get to stop pedaling. You have to keep going. But there's no brakes on these things.
No brakes.
Yeah, which you understand the reasoning why, no brakes. But most people look at that as, okay, wait a minute, you're inches from each other's wheel. You're doing high speeds. You're on a bank track, and what if you got to stop? How do So I mean, it's
you go up the track, and if you're overlapping, you want to be up the track from him. You don't want to be below him because that'll cause havoc.
Yeah.
And if you YouTube it, track accidents, track wrecks. Yeah. It's
gnarly.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
It's so ugly.
Yeah.
And it happens.
I encourage people, if you've never seen a track race, a velodrome race, it's an evening to take the family.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is the most exciting form of racing that there is. And you don't think about it on a bicycle because, I mean, high speed on a bike, on a short track, quiet, but it's just full of drama.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy fast.
Yeah, and they have worlds here, and nationals, Masters Nationals were here, and I mean, it's world class. It's the nicest track. I don't know, it may be in the world. It's very nice.
Yeah, definitely. I think nicest track in the country.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. And not just the track itself. It's if anybody gets an opportunity to go to Carson and see the track, just walking into the building, it's awe-inspiring to see that track, because you walk in and everything's flat and the track is below grade.
Right.
So, you just walk over the edge, like you were saying, and look at the track and look at the banking and look at the wood. I mean, it's beautiful.
Right.
It's beautiful. But to go and watch races, I mean, because there are so many different types of races and they're all fast. There's individuals, there's team, there's, my favorite was, I don't even know if they still, but the in and out, where you get the whole group of people in there, and it's the last person across the line is off,
right.
And it gets down to the a small group of people for the sprint, and it's amazing. I love watching that one.
And then missing out, that's usually in an omnium. So an omnium's usually 3 races. You got maybe a missing out, a scratch race, and a points race, and so you got to compete in all 3 of these races. And the omnium's the total points that you accumulated throughout these 3 races, and that determines the winner of the omnium. So I mean, you can win the scratch race or the missing out, but you can lose
the overall.
The overall.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a stage race,
Yeah.
a little mini stage race. And then what's fascinating to me, and it's total chaos and the most dangerous damn race there is in Madison, because and the more teams that are out there, it's a team of two. Half the guys start on one track and half the guys or gals start on the other side of the track, and they all roll out together. Well, the race starts here on the main side, and that's the race. And when they pass their partner, the partner comes down and he slings his partner with his hand, and they go, if there's people in front of them, they got to go up and over. And it's just total chaos, especially when it gets all split up and you're trying to figure out who's in the winner, who's the main race, where's the main race. You know, it's total chaos, and you got to keep all this in your mind while you're racing. And there's sprints throughout the race, there maybe every 20 laps, and you get points for them. It's full on chaos and dangerous,
and fun to watch.
And it's fun to do. It's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that people will be really surprised at, the athleticism of the cyclists that are out there. I mean, not only are they fast and cardio fit, but they have an amazing strength. And these are some pretty big guys that go out and do track racing. Yeah. You know, it's not like the climbers of road racing. I mean, you get some of the smaller guys that are quick, but man, you get some big guys out there.
Oh, there's a lot of little fast guys now. Little fast guys. Yeah, you'd be surprised, the young kids that are out there that are just killing it.
Really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, these young kids, how fast they are.
One of my favorites back in the day, you know, and I wish I could remember his name, but he was a national champ, and he would ride criteriums. He would do some road races, but he was really good in the track racing. And there's a blonde guy, I can't remember.
Steve Haig?
Yeah.
That's a good buddy of mine.
Is he really? I love Steve. He was like my favorite guy to watch. I saw Steve in Carson at the new track fall. I mean, brutal. Got back on his bike and actually caught up, passed, and won the race. Yeah. I mean, it was insane. Insane. Never seen anything like that.
He's very, very tenacious. He
Yeah.
was a great rider.
Yeah. Is he still riding?
He still rides. He works here in Long Beach, and he's half the time up here and half the time down in San Diego.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah. He was always a pleasant guy. Always, just, even if you didn't know me, he'd talk to you. Yeah. But, oh my God, I just loved watching that guy on a bike.
Are we talking about the same Steve Haig?
Yeah.
You're saying he's pleasant? I love him. He's pleasant. He's a good guy.
It's pleasant with a competitive nature. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's when he was racing. He was totally competitive. He's a great guy, a great friend. He's unbelievably talented. Yeah. Golfer, skier. He's really all around. Yeah, he's very talented.
Very, very cool. Very, I just will never forget that. I mean, I can see it. Yeah. And that's, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I mean, it's a long time ago.
His pictures in the velodrome. He won a gold medal in '84. So,
freaking amazing athlete.
Yeah.
So tell me about bikes today.
Oh gosh.
I mean, dude, when I started out, I started out, you had some Campanella record stuff that was all top of the line, but it was down tube shifting, and it was brake cables coming up and over, and that's the steel bikes, and what are bikes like today?
Everything's carbon, and everything's what a car cost you 30 years ago. Even 20 years ago. I mean, they're ridiculous. You can buy a dirt bike cheaper than you can buy a top-end road bike.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What are they going for?
S-Works, Specialized S-Works is going for about $12,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
12, 13 grand. If you want the Sagan model, it's even more.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So is
part of teams? Are they still outfitting you guys with bikes, or are they just cutting you deals on them these days? I mean, what's the protocol on those?
If you have a shop that sponsors you, you get a little deal on them. They might give you 30% off or whatever. But most of them, no. I mean, right now they can't even get bikes in. So you can't blame these bike shops for. I wouldn't give a deal either. I mean, they're barely making it. A lot of bike shops are closing down. Everything's online anymore. It's become really competitive for the bike shops, and it's there's a few guys out there that are pretty popular, and they have a big following, and they get things directly through Specialized or whoever they're but I got to hand it to them. They're doing a good job getting their name out for them, and they're very positive people, and it makes a big difference, and I mean, I don't expect anything. I'm an old fart, and maybe back when I was racing, we all wanted stuff free, and the more free stuff, the better sponsors. And I go, well, let's face it, we're freaking masters racers. We're not pros. So, but it was nice getting free clothes once in a while. I mean, clothes are expensive. I mean, if I was young, I'd want everything free. But it's not like that.
Well, that's
anymore.
just part of being older. We put things in a little different perspective than we used to.
So. But I want comfortable. I want the nice stuff, so I'm going to buy it.
Getting out when it's cold, like it's been the last few days, man. You want to make sure you got some good stuff.
Right. LEL, this is one of our sponsors. They do a great job. They're probably the top of the line clothing out there now. They've surpassed ASOS or any other group, and we've been with them since they opened, the team that I'm on. And Ryan does a great job there, and he's grown that company really well. I can't say enough about them, and their clothes are great. They last, they feel good, they fit good. Ryan was a racer, so he knows how to make the cut right. He doesn't have it so the front of the cut's down here, it comes right here, so when you're over your bars or over your top tube, it's not all bunched up. It's really good clothing.
That's actually really a great idea, because that is really uncomfortable when it's all bunching up on you and you just don't
In Cycle is one of our sponsors. They're a big store out in San Dimas and Pasadena, and they do us a good job. I mean, Frank Schroeder's been with InCycle since he had his pro teams, and they're great people there too. And they supply us, and it's like a candy store. It's probably the biggest bike shop I've ever been in my life, and they have everything there. And
there's still something really special about bike stores.
And then Envy is another one of our sponsors too that does us good, wheel wise. So
it's amazing you're talking about, talking about Steve, talking about what's his name? I've forgotten already. That's running the velodrome, and
Travis is running the velodrome now, and
really?
Travis is doing a great job.
Is that right? Okay. But a lot of these guys that grew up in cycling and were pros at one point or another, or Olympians, how they've all stayed, in the sport.
Right.
It's
a lot of guys do stay in, and I mean, it's longevity, and it keeps you healthy. A lot of us would probably go somewhere else to find something else to do. I know a lot of guys that have. I love it. I love riding my bike. A long time ago, one of my friends who was probably 10 years older than me, he says, Danny, if you want to last in this sport, you need to cross train, you need to lift weights, you need to do other things besides just ride. And I took that to heart. So I still work out. I had back surgery in June, and I had to work on my core to strengthen my core, and I try and stick to those things. I got a little bit off it there for about 4 weeks, and now I just started again yesterday, lifting weights, and it was raining, and my girlfriend Allison, she's a trainer and a wellness coach, and she's helped me quite a bit with my core strength and the new way of working out, not just throwing weights around. But
right.
You know, she's like yesterday, she was showing me some new stuff. I go, well, I'd rather just work on, throw the weights around and freaking do my core afterwards. She goes, well, it's not practical anymore.
Yeah, so, yeah. It's definitely changed from old school methods of getting in the gym and just, pushing weight. And it's a whole new mindset now,
right?
Which is better,
absolutely.
It's keeping people healthy and fit longer period of time,
right?
And not as many people, if you go by the new methods, aren't getting hurt,
right, in
the gym, where it used to be just stack more weight on, and that was the basic principle.
Yeah,
and then a lot of injuries were coming out of it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure my joints aren't, all what they should be from lifting weights. I mean, I was 200 pounds at one time. Now I'm 160 pounds. It's like, okay, there's some muscle gone somewhere.
But it's really cool though to see older people, older guys and girls still involved in the sport.
Yeah.
That are still out there. And you're talking about clothing. I wanted to make one, that we talk about clothing for racers, but you see these people that are out on weekends, man, get good clothes. It makes all the difference in the world. Even if you're just, doing 20, 30 miles a couple days a week, good clothes make all the difference in the world.
Big time. They last a lot longer. When you spend the money, they last a lot longer, and they fit you good, and it's just comfortable when you're riding your bike.
Yeah. I think that to me, because I haven't been in cycling for such a long time, but I still am interested in it. So I'll watch, like when I'm going surfing, and I'll see people coming down Coast Highway, and how many people are out there just riding, not with a team, not in groups, but maybe 2 or 3 friends, are out there. And the sad part about it, it's really great that they're out there. Absolutely great. Love it that people are out, getting after something, developing a passion about something. But when I see the bikes that they're on, and I see the clothing that they're wearing, or it's like you want to stop them and say, you need to get fit. Not fit physically fit, but you need
to their bike.
Fit to your bike.
Right.
And you need the clothes that are going to, because people may point and and say things about cycling and cycling clothing, but it's all purposeful.
Right.
There's a reason for it, and you just want to take some of these people and say you would enjoy it so much better if you had a bike that was designed to fit you.
Yeah.
Now, not all bikes are, because not everybody's going to go get a custom-built bike.
Right.
But there are a lot of different ways that you can adjust the seat. You can adjust the crank length. You can adjust, there's a lot of places where you can make adjustments to make it fit you a little bit better.
Yeah, when I see that, I feel like if they get serious, they'll find that. You know, it happens. They're right now with COVID. I've never seen so many people riding bikes in my life.
Right.
If you go to any bike shop, they're usually out of bikes because they've sold everything in their inventory and they can't get anything. They're so overwhelmed with fixing bikes, it's crazy. Which is a turn that bike shops are thriving right now, but there's going to be a little slowdown here when they have no more inventory and they have nothing to sell, and all they're doing is fixing bikes.
Right.
So these bike shops have made a ton of money here in the last year, but it's going to slow down if they don't get busy with the bikes and open things up overseas and in Taiwan, and where all these frames come from, most of them.
Right.
They're going to start feeling the brunt of that when they can't. It's hard to get parts. Tires, Continental tires, they run out of them, and I've been blowing through tires every 2 months, and it's like, gosh, I can't get any. So if I don't have any in my garage saved up to change, I'm kind of screwed.
Right.
So.
Hey, tell people also too, how much does a bicycle tire cost for you to throw onto a race bike?
Full retail right now, the tires I'm riding are $94.
Yeah.
Full retail.
Yeah. And how long do those last?
2,000 miles I've been getting out of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's 2 months. I've been getting 1,000 miles a week or a month. So maybe a little bit more than that. So they last me about 2 months.
At $90.
At
Yeah.
$90 for one.
For one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what's a competitive wheel? Just one wheel, you know.
Oh, you can get a good set of wheels for about $2,500.
Yeah. Yeah. And for you, you're looking at this and you're saying, yeah, $2,500 and 90, because you've watched that progression go from when you get tires for 25,
right?
You know, or then to 30 and the price. So you've been involved in it,
yeah.
And it's a lot when we say it, but for people that are sitting at home and they're listening to this, or you know, driving or whatever, the thought and the idea of $90 for a bicycle tire, a tire, you know, or $2,500. People don't spend $2,500 on rims for their car,
right?
You know, so it's in perspective, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's totally crazy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's the market. And
yeah.
What are you going to do about it? You know, if you want all the good stuff, you're going to pay for it. And it's like, man, you want the lightest and the best.
Yeah,
and the lightest and the best doesn't last either.
No,
you know?
no, it's like, it's the lightest and the best for a reason. Yeah. But it's like the bike that's hanging up over there. I did that purposely for you. You know, cleaned it up, put it up there. You know, the tires are flat, and it doesn't have
Spinergy wheels.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
oh my God.
Yeah, that's probably a 30-year-old bike right there.
Yeah.
And John Simonetti built that. That was a custom frame, but
Dave Jordan would love those wheels, huh? Oh my gosh!
Yeah. No, I'd be actually afraid just to ride around the block on it.
Oh yeah.
You know, they've got to be way brittle, but you know, those Spinergies back in the day when the Spinergies were.
Oh, we all rode them.
We all rode them.
They were the
cat's
meow. You know?
Yeah, I think that you could get a set for like $600 or $500 or $600.
We were getting them pretty cheap.
Yeah,
I mean, the team I was on, we were getting them reasonably.
Yeah. So you know, to see it from $500 a set or $400, whatever it was that they were, to $2,500. I mean, that's
crazy. It's crazy where the market's gone with these things. It's like I said, you can give it a Yamaha 450F, YZ 450F for what, about $775 to $8,000?
Yeah.
And a bicycle costs you $12,000?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No. Well, and again, going back and dating myself, in my first serious bike, the first bike that I bought, and actually I bought it from Jack's, of all places. And this was when Jack was there. And this was when it was just a small little shop over off of Bellflower Boulevard.
Right.
It's not the big one that's right there. It was in a little part of the strip mall next to the bar. And I bought a, what was it? A Peugeot, I think it was. But anyways, and I paid, I don't know, $400 or something for it. And that's what I went out to El Dorado Park on.
Right.
Yeah. And then the very first real bike that I bought a frame from Jack's, and it was a Raleigh Pro, a steel frame. And I built it, and I put all campy stuff on it and built it up. And I think that I total invested in it was like $1,200.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, that was the race bike that I had.
Yeah.
And now to hear that, you know, they've gone to 12,000.
Crazy.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah. I was riding, I had a Pinarello that I bought, and then it was, you know, like you said, get fitted. Well, I had Eileen Olsen fit me, who's I've been with for almost 30 years now.
Yeah. How's Eileen? You know, break it here for a second.
Last time I saw her, she was doing good.
Was she?
Yeah, it's been about a year. Probably it's time to go see her again, though.
Yeah.
And she looks great. You know, her and Bill are doing well.
Yeah. Make sure you tell her I said hello.
I'll do it.
That'd be good.
So anyway, I got a custom Holland, and I didn't want to race it, so I started riding Simonetti's frames.
Mm-hmm.
And the teams that are on, we were sponsored by Independent one time, and then Tomo had a frame that some Taiwan frame, and it didn't fit me, so I would have the frame Simonetti would build me, paint like whatever we were riding, so it looked the same.
Right.
So I was riding Simonetti's aluminum frames for a long, long time, and they fit me well because Eileen measured everything and got it right, And gosh, I think might have been $600 for a frame back then. It's like, okay, and then your components, you might have $3,000 into it,
Oh yeah, that was top end. I mean, if you had $3,000 bike, man, you were definitely top end.
Yeah. So I mean, and then we were given bikes one year, and then we had to sell them or give them back at the end of the year. Of course, we sold them and stuff. But yeah, it's ridiculous, the prices.
Yeah, that's nuts. And it's no wonder they're $12,000 if it's $2,500 for
wheels.
For wheels, or $100 a piece for tires,
and components are $3,500 now. Is that right? Ridiculous. You know? So if you buy a complete bike from a bike shop, it's a lot more reasonable to do. You can't piece it together and think you're going to come out ahead. There's no way. Not if you're paying full retail.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But if you got a Shimano deal or a SRAM deal, then if you got a wheel deal and you got, Envy deal and a deal with all these, but that doesn't happen. It's just a pain in the butt.
Especially for the masters anymore.
Yeah, and it's like, God, what a hassle. Just give me the damn bike built up, man.
So you can get on it and go ride it. Yeah. So what do you think about, you think racing's out of the question for the year, or you think maybe they're going to come back at some point this year?
I think it's done for the year. I want to hope that. I mean, some other states are racing a little bit, mountain bike stuff. I know Sea Otter canceled, and they postponed their March, April Sea Otter to September, and they canceled it completely. Mm-hmm. So I think that pretty much sets the precedent, I mean, I don't see them starting in June.
Right.
With this COVID crap, unless they get a handle on it. I mean, how can a promoter say, okay, let's have races, but the Fed's got to say, okay, it's okay, to race.
True.
So it comes from them first.
Yeah.
I mean, all the race dates are blocked out, and I don't know if they pulled their permits or anything. I doubt it.
Right.
Why would they put the money
I wouldn't
out,
imagine that they would.
So, I don't know. Hard to say.
The part that puzzles me is like you're taking cycling as an example and saying, no, we can't race because we have COVID. And then we're sitting watching the NFL.
Yeah.
And these guys huffing and puffing and landing on top of each other and beating each other up, and it's
right.
like, okay, they go onto the sidelines and they put a mask on, but damage is done by the time I don't understand.
I don't know how they unless they're testing them before they go, before they get on their private plane to go to wherever they're going.
Right.
And that might well be.
It could be, yeah. I mean, I don't know the particulars on it. It just, to the naked eye, it's kind of like, man.
I surely can't see the velodrome opening up. You being inside, that's a cootie joint, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone's got a cold, everybody got a cold. I mean, it's just they call it the track hack.
Uh-huh.
I put out a lot of effort, and you do get that, but it's like, okay, wait a minute, man, you got snot running all over.
Yeah, really, yeah.
No, man.
Yeah, that's just from effort.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's like I thought, what am I going to do with my track stuff? Is it ever going to open again?
Yeah.
When's this crap going to end?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think at some point, it's going to end. They'll get a handle on it. That's, I think the vaccine's the first step.
Yeah.
I think everybody should be standing in line, to get it.
Well, I think the line's real long. That's the problem. I mean, by the time it comes around to me, it's going to be June,
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one time my age actually was a benefit.
Yeah.
You know, I got to get my vaccine. But you talk about a line. I went there to Long Beach Convention Center and sat there in my car for almost 2 hours, weaving through a line just to get there.
Wow.
You know, and that's with an appointment, and that's with, you know, the select people that, you know, were over 65 or, you know, were, you know,
right,
police or fire or whatever. So
yeah, I think Johnson came out with a new one, you know, and then it's 66%, and it's only one shot, and it's proven that, I mean, no one's died that have, you know, for that caught COVID that did get it, you know, so, and the symptoms are very little if you did get COVID from it. So I think that's a start too. I mean, I'll take that. Hell, give me that one.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want it, give it to me. I'll take it.
I'll take anything at this point. Yeah.
I mean,
but I would like to see some progress towards sports opening back up. People need it.
Well, they had the Tour de France last year, and they had a lot of the tours. They started later, but you know, it's kind of sad with keeping the people from watching. You know, it makes it hard. It was a godsend that the Tour of California had canceled. Then, I mean, they ran out of funds to do that. Then they didn't pull all the permits and all that and organize it, and then get it canceled by COVID. So that was a godsend for them. They would have lost, you know, and of course that's Amgen.
You're right.
So maybe Amgen's going to make a ton of money off COVID. Maybe they'll come up with something too.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I just want to see sports open back up, because it is surprising that there are so many competitive people that are just average working class people that are competitive, that use sports as an outlet, that you know, gives them a passion for something in their life. And right now, I think that it's bad when restaurants are closed and shopping is closed, and it's, you know, when things get locked down and everybody feels claustrophobic and closed in. But for the people that are athletes and want to compete, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's cycling, whether it's run a marathon, you know, softball, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of competitive people that, you know, have a passion about something that are just shut down. You can't do it.
I think a lot of it, I mean, Como Street's been going off. They're doing that.
Really?
I mean, people have been throwing out money for the winter. And
oh, really?
So, yeah. And I think what's going to happen, it's going to hurt cycling in the United States, because people are going to start doing these races. Like I said, Hughes Parks, they've been racing there. And people are just going to do road races, you know, and do things like that, and just organize themselves and just do it. And they like it. I mean, people are training like there's races tomorrow. And people have more miles, and I guess they have the time, you know, a lot more time.
Right.
And I mean, they're putting in the miles and the training, and it's like, God dang, people are fit right now.
Really?
Know? Yeah. And
well, when you take away a lot of the other ways of enjoying your time, and you know, you're not going out to eat, you're not going to the movies, you're not going to the mall, you're not there's a lot of stuff that you cannot do,
right?
So it's maybe opening up more time to go train, to put some miles in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people fall away from racing too. I mean, myself, do I want to go race a crit right now and throw myself on the ground? I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking forward to doing a lot more track stuff this year.
Yeah. I
don't see that opening up for a while.
Right.
I don't know. I love riding my mountain bike, and I love doing these gravel rides. It's a whole different aspect of riding, but it takes a toll on your body too. You know, I was just thinking the other day, I went skiing a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't been on my skis for 2 years because of my back, and I took a digger pretty bad. You know, I was going pretty fast, and I saw my body on the ground and throw myself at that kind of speed, and I go, oh God, I don't want my back to go out again, and have to redo everything that I just had done. And it's like, God, as I get older, you don't want to see the pavement, you don't want to see the snow, coming at you like that.
No.
Slow down a little bit, but on the bike it's different. You get into that mentality and you're just going for it, and it's just in you, You got the damn cars though too, and that's a pain in the ass here.
Well, especially with the technology that we're all driving around with, and we've got that phone in our hand, and we got texting, and it's got to make it a lot more dangerous being on a bike alongside the road, and that's another thing too, Danny. What are your thoughts when you guys are in a group ride? I've seen a lot of I don't know if they're just inexperienced riders or they're not thinking, but a lot of guys that are crossing over that white line and getting into traffic, and are either that or riding on the white line really close when they got enough room to get themselves over. It seems like cyclists really aren't thinking real safe.
Well, especially on PCH, the fact is they need to clean that damn gutter a little bit more, or the bike lane. If you look at the bike lane, all the debris winds up in the bike lane.
Right.
And then Caltrans along Bolsa Chica there decided they're going to put bumper strips in, and they put them on the right side of the lane instead of in the car lane before the white line. So now you squeeze them over into all the sand.
Yeah.
The law states if there's no bike lane, then a bicycle has full right to the lane. So you get up past the cliffs and to where there's cars parked there. You got car doors swinging in your way when they're swinging them open, and you have the lane and you have another lane. Well, if you're in a big group, you should take that whole lane and take the lane and hopefully you don't get run over from behind like those poor people did in Vegas.
Right.
That's what happened there. They got hammered from behind. The guy, whatever that guy was on, he wasn't paying attention. And they were drafting the car. It was windy. There was a group in front. They wound up drafting the follow vehicle, the sag wagon, and this guy came in a box van and just crushed him from behind, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude had to have been texting or looking under a seat for something or something.
Something to miss a group like that.
So it's
I mean, there's been a lot over the years, a lot of serious injuries and a lot of fatalities that were needless.
Yeah, PCH is a dangerous place to ride. I mean, it's one of the only places we have. We have the riverbed. You got homeless encampments. You got people under the bridges throwing crap down, and robbing people. And it's like, where's the safe place for us to ride? If we ride on the bike path in the Bolsa Chica area, then they bitch at you because you're going too fast. You ride in the parking lot, they want to pass you and whatever.
Yeah,
most of the times
tough.
Now we are riding in the parking lot going through Bolsa Chica there, but once you get out, then you have the rumble strips, and then you have all the sand that's blown in, so you're pretty much squeezed out on the road.
Right.
Yeah. You go along Alamitos Bay where they put the new center in there, that second and PCH.
Right.
Well, that was nice. They put a bike lane in there in front of the cars, but all those people that park cars walk right through there.
Yeah.
And they don't. And when they're walking in between cars, it's hard to see them.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things most people that are driving that haven't had any experience on a bike,
right?
And they don't realize, how precarious it is.
Right.
I mean, you really have. Yeah, you got a helmet on.
Yeah.
But you're in Lycra.
Yeah. You're in your underwear practically. You're gonna die.
Yeah. You've got zero protection.
Right.
And makes it really difficult. I mean, it's and I don't know. There's just been so many fatalities. I don't know if a friend of mine, the Long Beach boy, grew up. Then him and his wife, and they moved out to out by anyways, out towards the Riverside area. And Paul just got on his bike. He was going to go to work in a couple hours, going to go get an hour ride in, pulls out of the townhome area that he lives in, just turns out onto the street, got hit from behind, some girl that was on speed or crack or some kind of thing, killed him instantly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's crazy how fast that can happen because you've got zero protection.
Right.
You know, so
we all know someone, you know.
Yeah.
We all know someone that, and you just pray that it doesn't happen to any more people that we know or anyone.
Yeah.
You know, but it's and there's more and more bikes on the road now, especially with COVID, and then more e-bikes on the road. And
yeah.
the e-bikes are, you know, these guys are hauling butt on these e-bikes, and they're just using them as motorcycles, and they're being in a bike path on the beach. You know, it's like that's
not what they're made for. Yeah,
no, common sense. Come on.
Well, the dangerous part about that, and I've almost had a couple of run-ins with them because you're gonna, you know, merge out into the street, and you see a bike coming, and it isn't until they get right on you realize these guys are doing 25 miles an hour.
Right.
And it's like. It's shocking. I'm really surprised that we haven't heard or seen more of those guys getting in trouble.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's ridiculous how fast they're going in bike lanes.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't have helmets on.
No.
I mean, that's a death wish. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But,
You know, I don't get it. But,
yeah.
you know, I guess this is the black side, the dark side of cycling
Right.
is the danger.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
part of it.
the e-bikes have a place in the more traffic there is. They need to make bigger bike lanes and maybe because those bikes are great transportation for people. You know, gasoline prices are going up. You know, it's like you see more and more e-bikes. So and I don't have anything against them. I mean, maybe someday I'll be riding one. You know, I watched a documentary the other day about a guy who was an X Games winner, and he had an accident, and he was like a Red Bull downhill mountain biker, and he had an accident and left him paralyzed for 4 years, and he was now able to walk with a cane. But one of his buddies said, if you ever want to get back on your bike, let me know, you know, and he was stuck with him the whole time. And this guy finally got on a bike, and it was an e-bike. When he would put his cane down, get on that bike, you couldn't tell he was paralyzed or was handicapped. He wasn't paralyzed anymore, but he rode that e-bike like he used to ride his mountain bike. You know, it's unbelievable, and it made him feel free again.
I can totally see that.
It was just beautiful. It was a great story, and I go, wow, this is good. You know, good stuff. But e-bikes are the new thing. Yeah. You know.
Well, you know, in the state of California and in the country in general is getting more and more conscious and going green and you know, trying to eliminate, you know, the pollution creating vehicles, and e-bikes would be, you know, a big part of that. But I think it needs to be regulated somehow to make it safer, not just for the people riding the e-bike, but for pedestrians, other cyclists, and also, you know, people in the car aren't going to get hurt by an e-bike. But if they do something because they're not judging the speed correctly, they have to live with it. You know, so I think all in all, you know, e-bikes are great, and especially in contents of the story that you just said. But I think they need to be kind of adjusted a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
we're not going to cure the world's problems. You know?
We're not. No, that's probably not. But you know what, Danny? Hey, been a great time talking with you,
fun.
man. It was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. You know, this is good times, man.
Right on.
Took me back in time a little bit, you know. Made me feel like I was really old. So, anyways, hey, man, great podcast. Thanks, guys. Hey, you guys supposed to remind me about something.
Oh yeah, I wanted to remind you to tell everybody to make sure they go ahead and leave a like, subscribe,
and then also
supposed to tell everybody to like, subscribe.
Check out the Instagram at Mike.podcast.
Instagram, Mike.podcast.
And also our Facebook page is just gonna be Mike Nunley, and it'll have our logo as the profile picture.
Yeah, on the Instagram, if you go on the Instagram, which is Mike.podcast, and you hit the
The link in the bio.
Yeah. Just hit my bio, and there's a link going right into YouTube, and you can catch Danny Nicolette on the podcast. All right, guys.
perfect.
All right. See you. Thank Danny.
All right. Woo.
Good time, man.
That was good.
I like that.